All right, folks in Rockingham County that are watching Star News, you need to pay attention because election's coming up March the 5th for county commissioner, and we're very honored to have Don Powell with us. He tells me he's been doing it for 3 years.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
What have you learned in those 3 years?
Well, I've learned a lot about how the government works and maybe don't work in some cases.
Okay.
So it has been a real education. People tend to think that we have unlimited authority and power to do whatever we want to do, and that's absolutely not the case.
Okay. Tell me the biggest eye opener for you that you've seen as far as like government waste or things that you think I can't believe this.
Well, I haven't seen government waste, not on the county level. Mm-hmm. We've managed to maintain a balanced budget for 14 years without any tax increases.
Right.
In this era of inflation, you certainly can understand there can't be much waste.
How much reserve we got in Rockingham County?
Now, I don't remember. I think it's about 20 million, okay. 22 million, something like that.
Yeah.
23%. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, but it's good. It's always good to have that reserve, isn't it?
Well, it's more than we're required to have by law.
Okay.
But commission boards over the past few years have set those sites a little bit higher, and we've not changed that.
Right. What have you heard from your constituents? What's their biggest concern?
Well, I think the economy and jobs and growth are a big concern in Rockingham County. We need that. I know that there's a lot of people that would like to keep Rockingham County rural, and I would too. And there's still way yonder more rural land than there is anything else in our county. Mm-hmm. But I get calls from people that are concerned that their children are going to leave and go off to college and never come back because there's not jobs there for them in the fields of their education.
Do you think it's a valid point?
Well, I think it's a very valid point.
Yeah.
And also, since 2016, I have been an advocate for vocational education in our county. And I'm proud to say today that the school system and the college both have responded to that. And, we have a workforce development center that'll be opening sometime maybe the latter part of this year. But the school system has also taken an interest in that, and it's now become a national discussion because we need to provide a means for high school students who graduate without the ability or the desire to go to college. Mm-hmm. They need to be able to come out of high school with a skill that they can go into the workforce.
Like plumbers and that kind of thing?
Electricians and carpenters, right. Big fields. Right. And they don't rack up a bunch of debt to learn those skills, but they can come out and make a very livable wage and raise a family and support Rockingham County.
So what have you done as a commissioner to try to get us in that direction?
Well, so right after I got on the commission board, we started a committee called the Workforce Development Committee, and it was representatives from the college, from our economic development group, and from the high school. Yeah. And we got together and discussed ways that we could create pathways from the high school over to the college in the fields of vocational education, so that kids could go there and get a certificate if they wanted it, but they did not have to get a degree, and they could go into workforce. For instance, like a welder, they could start in high school, they could go to college or to community college and get a certificate and come out and be making $19, $20, $21 an hour as a welder.
Right. How about this? You've got this documentary coming up about child care and so forth. I mean, they call it a crisis, and that might be. Do you think it's a crisis in Rockingham County?
Well, I think it's a crisis pretty much across the nation. Yeah. The problem is that child care facilities have to make a profit, mm-hmm. and in our area the wages are such that people can't pay what's needed to be paid for them to make a profit. So mm-hmm. if you can't make a profit, they're going to go out of business. Mm-hmm. But one thing I will say is that we can teach folks in high school, particularly single mothers. I think that's the ones that it hits quite hard mm-hmm. as a single mother that's trying to make it on her own. And so there are programs and things in high school that can be taught to them where they can work from home, doing vocational type stuff, from sewing or cooking or to marketing or those kind of things that they can do in front of a computer that may save them the need to have the child care. Mm-hmm. But it certainly is a huge problem in the county and across the state. And so,
But your solution is, hey, maybe let's go to this work at home component.
well, I think that's just a part of it. That's not a solution to it, because there are people that have to go to jobs. My daughter and son-in-law, they have to pay that. Now, they're fortunate to be able to do that. But I think that we've got to figure out a way to help people open and start daycare centers where they can make a profit and stay in business, so that they can provide that service. And I understand that it's worse on the infants, because there's a lot of daycares that don't take infants. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a problem.
All right. Let me ask you the best thing you got done during these 3 years, and the thing you need to work on.
Well, I think one of the things that I'm pleased with is when I went on the commission board, it was right after COVID, and we had over 100 vacancies in our county. A lot of those were in emergency services, sheriff's department, and Department of Social Services.
That was a crisis, wasn't it?
That was a terrible crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, we had an EMS director that was riding a truck. That's how bad it was. We started working on our pay scale and the classifications, and we changed some of that stuff, and then we gave substantial raises, cost of living raises along with merit raises. And today, I'm proud to say that we went from over 100 vacancies down to about 20 as of today. Yeah. So we have been responsive to the needs of the community, making sure that we can provide the services that the citizens want, and pay the people, what they need to be paid. And we've done that by keeping up with the pay rates around the surrounding counties where we were losing people. Mm-hmm. So we're just about back up to fully staffed, and we made it through that, and that was a pretty tough time.
What's something you need to work on?
Well, we need to continue to work on economic development. I mean, we're not there yet. We've created about 1,500 jobs in the last 4 or 5 years, and we've added about $1 billion to our tax base, which helps offset the cost of us doing business. And to that, let me just say that we've not had a tax increase in 14 years. Now, inflation is just as tough on the county as it is on your home budget. Mm-hmm. But we've been able to add enough development in the county and add enough to our tax base that we've been able to offset that with creative ways in saving money and spending money. So we've done the best that I feel like we can possibly do with the tax rate. But unless we grow the county in the future, we may not be able to keep pace with that.
Don Powell, not a hard name to remember.
Don Powell?
Yeah, that's not a hard name to remember, so when they vote, that's pretty easy to remember.
Absolutely, and I certainly would appreciate your vote on March the 5th so that we can continue the good things that we've got going on in the county.
All right, March 5th, and of course you can early vote in 4 different locations, I learned. So go find out and go vote. Do your constitutional right for everybody. You can't complain if you don't vote.